Okay, this video is dedicated to folks that like to make fun of others that don't have, let's say, their own place or transportation. And why they don't get it. Let me tell you something to you folks out there who way. It's not easy out here. It's a lot difficult than, let's say, our parents had it a few years ago, back in the days, so to speak, where they was able to buy a house, able to buy a car, and then costing no more than, let's say, $40,000 for the both items. At one point, you can get a house at around 11,000. You used to buy a car at about 8,000. Car prices are about the same, but houses are going for at least $100,000. Rents are average about 800-900 a month. Some places more. But do you own what you say you own? If you pay taxes on it, folks, I don't think you own it. But they always tell you that the money that's being collected in taxes goes to the police and fire and other city services that provide service to the community. Which could be true, and in some cases it is. But if you fall late on your water bill, or you don't pay your taxes on your property every year, wherever the tax bill is due, the city can come at any time where you live at and seize your property and put a lien notice on it or foreclose on it due to taxes. Nobody thinks about that, do they? And for you folks that rent an apartment, that pay rent, you can't do what you want in that apartment, even though you pay rent there. I'm sure you have some gray areas, but you can't do exactly what you want to do because that landlord that you're paying your rent owns the place. So they can set the guidelines and rules and regulations for their apartments. Some may not allow guests over a certain time or a certain hour. And some are based on the lease agreement that you signed with the landlord. So you can't do exactly what you want to do just because you pay rent or you own a house, because there's ordinances too. And some of us, like myself, would like to have that one day. But right now we gotta sort out our own mess before we get into something that expensive or that large. Because it can ruin you and break you later if you don't have any means of bailing yourself out. Then you wonder why there's so many people on. I won't say so many, but you wonder why folks go from living in a McMansion to now sleeping out of the backseat of their car, or downsizing to, let's say, a condominium or an apartment that they have to now pay rent to, whereas before they only paid a mortgage or they own their place. Times are getting harder, folks, and it's getting increasingly difficult. Some say the dollar's collapsing, some say there's an impending war. Who knows? But all I know is we're not living in the times that let's say our grandparents and our parents lived 20, 30, 40 years ago, where things were a lot more, I guess, I don't know how to say it, but the cost of living wasn't as ridiculous as it is now. I mean, for crying out loud, Jersey is very high. New York is high. It's overrated. They sell you this BS about the tourism and all this other nonsense, but you pay for it. You pay for it, folks. And you pay dearly. If it ain't your taxes, if you go to visit these states, you're going to be paying tolls. just to go, into the city, yeah, you're gonna have to pay some money. If you drive, at least $15, if not more, for the tolls of the bridges and tunnels. You'll be paying for it. Then you got the turnpike tolls, which can get costly too. You got the fuel, and you gotta get something to eat. So be prepared to have a wad of cash on you at all times, and a wad of cash in your bank account if you plan on traveling to these states. Even out west is probably the same thing. You got your tolls you gotta pay. Easy Pass. Man, I tell you, it gets you coming and going, and wow, that's all I can say. That's why I said in this video, this my message that I want to convey is, folks, just slow down and just take it easy and stop passing judgment on folks who don't seem to have what you have, because you have the means and the ability to obtain it. Just slow down and fall back, because the same way you attain those materialistic things could be the same way it's going to disappear within the twinkling of an eye or a snap of a finger. So just be humble, folks, with what you got. And don't brag. And that's one thing I can't stand, is people that brag. They say, well, I had this and I had that. And I say to myself, okay, if you had this and you had that, how come you don't have it now? What happened to it? Oh, I had to sell it because, this and that happened, and that happened to that thing, and blah, 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 blah.